while we're talking about visas, whether it's HB1 or something else, I just want to remind everybody that most people don't know crap about visas and all that stuff unless you've been through the process yourself. Now, this isn't about 90-day fiancé. Those are coming soon because, oh my God. I want to talk about something that I don't see very many people talking about in terms of HB1 visas or the spouse visa attached to that. Just immigration in general. And I'm going to use this little hobosexual, what's his name? Oh my God, I don't even care. This man tried to immigrate to the Philippines because he doesn't have a home. Yes, homeless. Also had gunk spewing out of his, because he also came to the Philippines with gonorrhea. Is literally one of the biggest villains I've seen of all time on a dating show. I don't know, that's a bold statement. Oh my God, there's too many. But I'm going to do videos on this guy. But what I'm going to talk about the HB1 thingy and just, I don't know. I want to talk about how much people don't know about this, including myself. But as an immigrant myself, I know probably a little bit more than the average U.S. American who is not an immigrant or didn't study this or hasn't lived in this experience somehow, right? Because this man wanted to leave the U.S. because one of the things about, oh my God, I don't get distracted, Melanie. He did not even look into immigration before doing all this. Like tricking this woman, cheating on her, meeting her family, literally moving to the Philippines. He literally was hoping he would just stay. He wasn't ever planning on going home. Like, this is the most extreme passport bro situation I think I've ever seen. And I'm going to teach lots of stuff using this. But what I think is hilarious is that this man who was going to be an immigrant didn't bother looking into it. Okay, so I promise you, most people don't know much about immigration because it varies from country to country. And there's so many different visas. And one of the things that I talk about a lot on my page, which is why I'm going to chime in with this, because other people are better to talk about just, all the racism and xenophobia and all of the stuff that comes into the conversation that are like very central to conversation. I want to talk about how it's kind of hard to explain in pictures how much paperwork goes into becoming an immigrant or just to go to another country and work legally in another country. So I can't even explain to you. This is just like, there's like 3 copies of like 20 different kinds of things, and I still didn't have one of the things because they don't even list on the website. This is France. What you need. They throw a little curveball in there just to get you. Thank God, as much as I hate Facebook, I hate it, that I would never have immigrated here without other immigrants in these Facebook groups who literally are like, make sure you bring this and this and this and bring 3 copies of that. And they're going to ask for this, even though it's nowhere on the website. I don't know why they ask for it. They might ask for it. And I would never have gotten any of my visas in Spain or France. I've been 2 different kinds of visas here if it wasn't for other immigrants. So I promise you, even whatever you find on the internet is probably wrong. Right? I've even had people come to me with wrong information who had an immigration lawyer. You know what I mean? I even called after I got my marriage visa, which I came here by myself, for myself, not for a man, just in case anyone wasn't clear about that. I met him after I'd already been here and loved my life here and had community and whatever. So I was planning on staying, but I switched to the marriage visa for obvious reasons. I mean, whatever. I'm not even going into all that. That's another video I can make if you want me to. But it is really hard to get married here. You have to apply to get married. It's way harder to get married here than the U.S. It's super hard to get married. I go all the way up. Had to get all these papers. Whatever. Go all the way to Paris. Go to the embassy, hold my right hand up and swear that I'm not polygamous and all this crap. Then just to apply the dossier to get married. Then you get married. Then you apply for this. I can't tell you all. I can't tell you how much time and energy and money goes into immigrating as a spouse and as an individual. Like, it is so complicated. And I have white privilege. I'm able-bodied because I don't even know what all the immigration laws, but they are very, 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 very ableist. They discriminate. There's so much discrimination in the immigration process. So because I have a U.S. American passport, boom, white woman, cis het, doesn't really matter so much here, but in other countries that would matter. I could afford like there's so many things. And even with all those privileges, still, it's hard, it's stressful. And I lived in constant fear for a while that I'd done something wrong. And I finally just got approved for my 10-year visa, which is kind of similar to a green card. But you know what I have been able to do since the day I got approved, for the marriage visa. I had all of the rights of my husband, except I can't vote. There's like one other thing, run for office. But immediately, boom, I can work. I can work immediately. That's not the case in a lot of places. I found various information, because please don't use me as a resource, but I was trying to find a list. Which countries, with a spouse visa, the reason why I'm talking about this is that I'm not going to argue this or that or whatever. I will, you know what? If you want to know, literally Howard's in anything will teach you what you need to know about what's happening right now. This is what's always been happening. This is what happens in the U.S., not just the U.S., but especially the U.S., is that always, the really rich people are like, let's pit everybody against each other. And it is always black people and immigrants and indigenous people. But historically, immigrants have become white over time as they assimilate and they get closer. I'm not going to go in the whole thing. Please read Howard's Zinn, okay? This is like the kid version, because I wanted to know about the youth in this too. But Howard Zinn's books changed my life a long time ago, because I really started to understand. I mean, I have a history major too, so that also. But like Howard Zinn, I'm telling you, you will understand what this discussion is really about. If that and plenty of other books, we were talking about the people's history, immigrants' history, poor people's history, black history. That is how you actually, indigenous people's history. That's actually how you understand what is the real problem here. Is they always need an enemy, right? And if it's in Wicked, it is the animals. If it's in U.S., it is whoever they decide it is today. But it is, of course, always black and indigenous people. But one of the things that we also need to talk about is that usually the women and children involved in immigration are the most vulnerable. That is my wheelhouse. I promise you there are better people to talk about xenophobia, racism, and all of those things who know way more than I do. But as an immigrant and as somebody who knows a lot about this and in community with so many people who are stuck in this country because of the Hague Convention, if you don't know what that is, please Google it, because that so many women are literally hostages in countries with abusive men because of the Hague Convention. But it's not just that. Literally, if you moving out of state, blah, blah, blah. I talk about this all the time. But some countries, if somebody goes there for a job, if they get sponsored, but it's very hard to get sponsored, by the way. Whatever, it's different for every country. But, don't assume that the spouses, and it's almost always women, come on, men don't move for women unless they're a little hobo, like that dude that I just pointed at, right? It's not usually men moving for women. And if they are moving for women, they're probably one of these. Not always, but probably. But the reason why, and spoiler alert, this man, as soon as he found out he could not immigrate as easily as he thought, and was like, oh crap, even literally wanted to marry her mom. Oh my God, I gotta do this video. This man makes me so mad. Literally, he was just like, he just wanted the visa. Why? Well, he's a hobo. He can't afford the U.S. He's also running from child support. Yeah. But the other thing is that he never wanted to be with her. He never wanted, this poor woman. Oh my God, I love her so much. She's such a, I'm so mad what he did to her. But as soon as it was like, no, the only way y'all can be together if she goes to the U.S., dude was done. He got married shortly after going to the U.S. to someone else, because it was never about that. It's about him being a hobo. But there's no way he could have afforded to have her come to join him. Why? Because they can't usually work. So I tried to find all the information for y'all. But it is not something that is secured, is the right to work as a spouse of an H-1B visa holder. Okay, this article was from March 30th, 2023. I think it was challenged or something. And then September 11, 2024, victory for HB1 spouses, U.S. court upholds work authorization because this group, Save Jobs USA, keeps challenging it. Like, okay, so like y'all can look at it if you want. I'm not here to discuss this, but like this is not over yet, especially with the incoming administration. What do you think they're gonna do? They hate women. Like, but then again, I don't know, y'all. All I know is that the billionaires are never your friends. Some people end up, taking a different route. Like you just because you are married to somebody who works here legally doesn't mean as a spouse, meaning usually a woman, you are dependent and often screwed. Because if there's one thing that everyone I know who's dealt with a green card is that it takes a long time and it's expensive. If a foreign spouse, so this is a different route. This is a green card. This is different. It could take 10 to 13 months. Although, if you have money and you can hire a lawyer, it might go fast. And if you're not in the U.S. and you're waiting for this, 11 to 70 months. And if you're married to a U.S. citizen, okay, not someone with a green card, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, generally takes 5 to 6 months to get employment authorization. But I've read so many different things, y'all. Don't trust any of this. Okay, do your research. But one of the things that I understand from talking to people who have immigrated to the U.S. is one of the biggest risks is that you can't leave. Because there'll be your process abandonment, right? They'll consider you up. I guess you gave up. So you got to wait for travel permit. Like, it is so complicated. It is so complicated. And even when you have the green card, the coveted green card, you can't leave for more than 6 months usually or without a bunch of paperwork. And what happens if you have a sick parent? What if that, things happen where people I know have to go back home for long periods of time. You know what it's like to have aging parents who are on the other side of the world? And then there's the evidence. Good luck with that. Do you know what they make you do to prove that you're a couple? Like, it's a lot of paperwork here, but in the U.S., they're looking at your Facebook, they're looking at your Instagram, they're looking at and I know some lavender marriages, and oh my God, it is like a full-time job proving that you love this person and you're living with this person and you're never ever gonna get divorced. It's not just, joint bank accounts, tax returns, like joint leases, utility bills, property deeds, whatever. It is like vacation photo, you know what I mean? Wedding photos, social media posts with friends and family. Make sure y'all are together all the time. So even if you, and believe me, people outside the U.S. are oftentimes not as hey, as we are. Like in France, for example, they are very private here. Their Facebook photo, I'm generalizing here, but their Facebook profile photos are of a leaf. You know what I mean? You can't cyber stalk people here very well. You can't look up your ex and see what they're doing. Yet, there's no information about people compared to the U.S. And it's also illegal to post stuff without their people's permission in so many ways. So there's imagine trying to prove that you've been with someone when you just don't have social media, don't care, don't post much. You're a private person. Look at this. They're going to look at everything, y'all. Your emails, your text messages. They look at everything over a long period of time. Sworn statements from people. Then there's the whole interview. But nothing is ever sure. So this is France right here. You get the 1 year and then you can get the 2 year after that. And then after 3 years, you can go for the 10 year. And then after 10 years, you can go for nationality. Most European countries permit working on a spouse-dependent visa. But there's all kinds of other stuff you got to deal with. And then also, there's restrictions around concerning unmarried partners, same-sex partners, self-employment, for example. And, not that many countries recognize, common law or, civil partnerships, right? So these countries do, France has the PACS, but PACS people don't have the same rights I do. Getting married is a way bigger deal here than getting PACs. People get PACs here, so that they can, file taxes together and stuff like that. But one of my friends who is PAXed is trying to get her 10-year card. And boy, is she doing a lot of paperwork having to prove this or that, all this in bank income, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to be like marriage certificate, proof of like us living together, you know, like a few things. It was like 5 pieces of paper. Boom! Plus the language test. That was hard, okay? I also want to point out some arguments that I saw on the internet in terms of spouses. And also my mutual and friend Bourbon Bougie did a video about comparing like sometimes this can be comparable to like sharecropping. You know, and I hate how hard we actually make it for immigrants. And I promise you every time, like, the immigrants are not the people you want to be mad at, okay? I promise you. But I think what people need to remember in these conversations is how vulnerable immigrants actually are. Because, you know, especially in the United States, they may like you today. Tomorrow, they hate you. Come on over. Today, tomorrow, internment camp. Like, and that's why, like, my mutuals say this all the time. And just to refer to this tweet to kind of summarize it all, by Mickey Kendall, who also has written Hood Feminism and all kinds of, like, amazing author, culture critic. Like, just Google her and buy her book, Hood Feminism. I'm going to say this harsh thing out loud as I watch tech workers find out how American racism actually works. The history always said that the other groups would be used as a wedge against Black and Indigenous people until they were no longer useful or they had too much. Then she talks about, you know, the Exclusion Act, and just gives examples here, right? And reminds us that attacks on affirmative action weren't about Black people. They were about everybody. And that is another reason why the most vulnerable groups are the ones who should be centered, which is why I talk trans people, Black and Indigenous people, women, but especially in the United States, Black and Indigenous people. That everything that the country wants to do to all of us, they do it to them first. Or have done it forever, since the beginning. But we're all on the list. We're all next. Unless you are super duper 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 rich and white and your man. And a lot of white women find out before it's too late that just because you are forking and birthing and sleeping in the same bed as, I mean, hopefully not all those in one. A rich white man, that doesn't protect you. I mean, it does until it doesn't. The way white supremacy and fascism are actually set up is fundamentally misogynistic and exclusionary. So, if you thought you were safe as someone who isn't a rich white man, I have some news for you. So, I saw some other tweets, and I don't know how accurate these are, but they did make me think, and they did make me, like, research. Because I've seen, you know, again, that the spouses of any of these people that everyone's mad at, right? Not only are the immigrants themselves always going to be vulnerable, because especially if you are tied to a company, right? Like, come on, we know this. If you're tied to a company, corporation, whatever, the more tied to you, or if you haven't read Daniela, Knitting Cult Lady, sorry, that's her username, Uncultured the book. There's one thing, many things that I learned from her work, is that it literally, the more they try to get you in every area of your life, you know, working, you hang out just with your work friends, maybe you live close to work and you go to the gym at work, like the more they get you tied into work, the more you have to lose, right? What does that sound like? Marriage! That's why women have been like, we need our own money. Don't get too tied to a man, because you're so vulnerable. Same thing with work. So what these visas do is a lot of them, they have, you know, they may have providing opportunities for immigrants here, but their spouses have like almost like a kind of no rights, because they don't have access to the ability to work sometimes. They don't have access to the money because of that. A lot of, like, they're so vulnerable, y'all. So another awful truth about the H-4 spouses, because that's the visa they're on, endure a brutally high rate of domestic violence. It's also true of spouses of American citizens. A lot of times they have to wait for like a year to be able to work. I don't know. There's a lot of like stories on the internet, people who've had the H-1B, and most of the complaints are about like the spouses. They are totally vulnerable. Doesn't mean we should get rid of the H-1B. I'm just saying, actually, the reason why I'm saying all this is that I want people to understand that for someone to immigrate to a country, they have to be there, like, want to be there real bad. Like, countries make it so hard for people to immigrate, especially the less privilege you have. Okay? So if there is a immigrant and their whole family and their spouse or whatever, I promise you, they have more will and determination and work ethic a lot of times, not always, than almost anybody. They have to oftentimes, unless they have a whole lot of money, to immigrate to another country on an HB1 visa, or as the spouse of someone on one of those visas, or as, getting a marriage visa or whatever. It involves so much sacrifice. So it cracks me up whenever people are like arguing about this stuff. Like, I swear to God that all of the tweets are driving me crazy. They're driving me crazy because I'm like, does anybody actually know what they're talking about? Like, even if they actually research these, do you actually know the lived experience of immigrating? And again, I say this as somebody who immigrated to France. You know what I mean? Like, I've had a very easy, relatively speaking, a very easy immigration story. That is not usually the case for most people immigrating. Not the ones who are getting targeted, at least. Because I promise you, they hate immigrants here in France too. They say immigrants, but they hide their racism behind the word immigrant. But they're not talking about me. They're not talking about me. People who look like me, they're not talking about me. So I'm telling you, like, it drives me crazy, especially since the election, all of this. Oh God, y'all, it's been driving me crazy. We're such. It's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, especially in the United States. I promise you, if you are mad at the immigrants, be mad at the billionaires, and be mad at the people who were colonizing, and continue to do so. Oh, he just flipped. He just did his little rotisserie chicken. Some of y'all love that. It's the way they always get us to hate the very people who are the most vulnerable usually. Even immigrants who have a lot of money, if you're a woman and you get married or have a baby with someone, you're stuck. You are stuck. It doesn't matter how much money. Look at Sophia, what's her butt? And the Jonas brother, what's his butt? Even a movie star had to fight so hard to not be trapped because of the Hague Convention. There's driver's license issues. Do you know how hard it is to get a driver's license in France? Woo! I got lucky because I came from a state where I could exchange it. Only 14 states, I think, let you do that. Everybody else, and you only have 1 year to do it. I'm one of the only immigrants I know who has a driver's license. It's like gold, and it's because it's like obsessive. I'm obsessive, and I was in the right Facebook group who gave me all the right information, and I didn't even think I'd get it, but I got it somehow. Try moving to a new country and you can't drive. Now, I know that's a little different in the U.S. because we just hand them out way easier than here. But I'm sure there's a bunch of challenges with that in the United States. I don't know that lived experience, but I am telling you, to get a driver's license, if I did not live in a city and I didn't have a driver's license and I was married to a French man and I moved here for him, oh my God. God, I'd be going crazy not being able to drive. And then taking the code, good luck. Good luck, French people. Fail that test. With their native level French, fail that test. It's a very hard test. It's a very hard test. And costs like hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to get your license because it's hard to get a license. So I'm just telling, I promise y'all, whenever you hear people talking about immigrants, A, they usually don't know what they're talking about. B, the women and the children in any scenario with immigration are getting very vulnerable. And usually the immigrant in general, unless they are a super rich person or it's like just doing all kinds of BS, or whatever, they are usually not the threat. You don't need to be worrying about them. You need to direct your anger at the people, the billionaires, and that is, come on, please. And especially the U.S. of all places. Come on. If you're not indigenous, or if you weren't forced to be there by being put in chains and taken to the U.S., everybody else is an immigrant. So it's just so funny. This We hate ourselves that much. It's just, and I have relatives, and I say, "Where are we from? Where are we from?" Oh, we've been here a long time. So anyway, God, the paperwork, the language, the culture, the bureaucracy, the driving, the that. There's a million things that hurdles that people who immigrate go through to live in whatever country. I promise you, they are not your enemy. They are not. Unless they're just pretending to live there so they can hide their money. Anyway, let me know what you think. If there's any immigration lawyers who follow me, I would love to hear some of your thoughts or any of your personal stories, whatever. Like, comment, share. Please follow my Patreon. That's how I get paid. And thanks for being here. Subscribe, notifications, hit all the buttons. And let me know if you heard that comment song. Comment song. It's a comment song. Look at this ballerina. Hey, comment song. I do this every video if you're new here, and I do it because why not? Hey, look at this. This is an electric box turned into art. It's pretty cool. Hey, look at this. Read. That's the opera house to the upper left of Lyon, where I live. Comment song. Tap, your comment. I used to be known for traveling more than anything now, so I've taken a lot of photos in my life. Pretty toilet anyway. Patreon is where I share most of my travel content. Hey, la tap. Tap. Watch out. Hey, yes. Double-decker outhouse. Ha, funny. Yeah. I haven't shown y'all so many stuff from all my weird travels. This is the United States, somewhere in the West. Anyway, comment song. Leave a comment, subscribe, and notifications too. Thanks for being here. Did you hear the outhouse toilet comment song?